As I understood, everyone else in the company would be attending as well. She left for the event after work last night, and the last time I received a text was a couple of hours before it supposedly started. Beforehand, she said she wouldn't be too long at it and would text me when she was leaving. There was inclement weather last night, so I asked her to do this so I knew she wasn't upside down in a ditch somewhere. Well, several hours go by and no word from her. At this point, I am a little worried. I texted her sister, who also happens to be a close associate of my significant other's boss, and asked if she heard from my significant other at all during or before the party. She said her boss said that the party was cancelled because of the weather. I know he was going out to dinner with someone though. This is when my heart sank. I got nervous and decided to open up her email and see if maybe she made any other plans around this time. The first email that popped up was from her boss forwarding her the reservation details for their Christmas party, specifically heading to a something she got in drunk or the drugs from last night. I'm not proud of this, but I checked her pockets and found nothing. But I noticed that her panties were bunched up under all of the other clothing, and when I picked them up, they reeked of sweat and sex. They also had stains. Be an incher. She was up to use my comments and tell her that them all and posted this in here. To be honest, I guess I just needed a push to do what I know I need to do, which is leave her cheating ass. So for that, thanks guys. I just don't get why she would do this. I've been the best boyfriend I can be. I've been super supportive of her hobbies and her career, and loved her with all of my heart. The good news is, she isn't on the lease and I don't pay for any of her bills, but her crap is everywhere in our apartment, so her packing up will take a while. I will not be helping her with this. I sent her a text that says, I know what happened last night. If you want to talk about it at all, your only chance will be at this restaurant. I'll be there from 12 to 1 exactly. Show up if you want. If not, it doesn't matter to me. After that, consider us over and consider yourself evicted. The kicker to all of this is that her boss owned the company. I forgot to mention that bit. So HR? Not happening. He is HR. He's also unmarried. Just a creepy a-hole. I mean, I've only met him a couple of times previous to this and he just gave off that vibe. You know what I'm talking about? Just that, man, something doesn't seem right vibe. He's been nothing but courteous to me and we've made small talk, and then he effed my now ex-girlfriend, so that's cool. And from what I've seen of their interactions together, she was kind of awkward, almost giggly around him, so after putting the massive pieces together, it seems likely that they probably had some emotional thing going on for quite a while and decided to say F it last night, literally. Anyway, if she shows up to lunch, I'll update you guys on what happens. If not, I'll update you guys anyways. Thanks for the push. Heart. OP's lunch update. Oh boy, it was not really as expected. I expected lots of tear sheds, maybe some bargaining, but what I got was none of that. When she came into the restaurant, she was calm and collected. She almost looked proud even. Safe for it because she were... I asked her if she got drunk that night and she said, of course I did. I got drunker than I've ever been in my life ever. I asked her if she intended night, which was a year ago. Good, just good. There was no point in this charade any longer and I wanted out of there before I got hurt even more. I didn't intend to finish my meal, so I leaned over and said, you have until tonight to get your crap, and that's what I've given us. First, I'd like to talk about my personal state. Thinking about this purely logically and not investing emotion into it. Basically, what I did with our little meeting last week, I think, is a waste of an interrupted me several times. The first time she contacted me, Friday evening, she texted me to say she had gotten all of her stuff out of my place and that she will not be contacting me any further. I was there when she to mind scene from some close friends and I went out for a night on the town. So we suit up and head downtown. And we end up running into a bunch of my ex's friends. No big deal, I was always Was a bit awkward at first, but I got over it pretty quickly. Of course, the topic of what exactly happened comes up. According to them, my ex's version is that I was the one cheating on her and her boss was comforting her, and while I was having my affair, they found each other in themselves and decided to complete with her BS. My Friday, I woke up to a flurry of missed text messages, all from her. They ranged from, "Why are you talking crap about me?" to, "You asked for this, you know you treated me so bad," to, "Can we just talk about this?" I ignored them and went on about my day. I did get a few texts from her family members, basically just asking when the Tom Dick family were visibly upset. Sunday, though, was the day. D-Day. She came over unannounced early afternoon. She asked if she could apologize. She left. Oh, I house in the It took her a while to regain her composure, but once she did, we were able to discuss why she was actually there. She started off by saying that all her life she had an issue where she would purposely sabotage anything. I never got together to make holding up. I wasn't going to lie, so I said it to her straight. I was doing great. I was incredibly optimistic about the situation, and I was excited about what life had in store for me next. She didn't take to all out her to into the details too much, but from what she said, he told her that he was only interested in her when she was in her prime, and that her being in this mess made him get her crap. Would it be alright if I whatever gall she had left and said her? Then she mustered up whatever gall she had left and said these words to me. "Would it be alright if I stayed with you? Promise." Think so. I sat you. Put out there. Can't. Practical Data repair shop where I employ a bunch of local kids, ages 16 plus, to learn skills and to make some money while we generally sit around and talk about the world while we fix things. We had a client come in with a busted electronic. We fixed it up for her. Labor was. She didn't like the bill. She didn't like the work. She claimed that we'd broken something else. She claimed that the kid who did the work didn't know what she was doing. She did, and I had supervised her. And that the kid who helped her in the front room was rude to her. He wasn't, but she didn't like the little pride flag Penny was wearing. She demanded how she was. Bill was without a credit card, and I had to inform her that we don't accept that particular card. She literally asked me, "Do you know who I am?" Which I didn't. I still don't and don't care. And I told her we'd take a personal check. She wrote out a check. Problems her for insufficient funds. All and we'd all was going on. She drops, of course, a bag of pennies on the front desk. She's breathing heavily. We're on the sex here to sneeze. So I stop working on the thing I'm working on and take over. "How many more bags do you have?" I ask her. And she says that the nice we'd action pennies plus the extra $25 weighs a lot, and she'd just committed to carrying them through a parking lot and up a flight of stairs. One of my kids, bless his heart, offered to deposit it done pennies. The front desk guy and I counted up the pennies. She started to realize that this was going to take a while and tried to leave. I told her that she couldn't leave until we'd sign off on her bill, since at this point she was in violation of her service agreement and had passed a bad check. We couldn't take her word for it, and I would inform the local constabulary if she left without paying. By my comfortable style, she said, "Just forget it," and took out $125 in bills. We signed off her agreement and she started to leave. Another one of my kids, bless his heart, asked her if she wanted help carrying the pennies back to her car. She looked at all of us with a face of sheer panic, mumbled, "No thanks." Then we loaded the bags into my vehicle. We used the elevator she'd walked by a few times, took them to the bank and used the coin machine to deposit them, then wrote out a donation to our local shelter for the amount she'd dropped off. She posted something nasty on Facebook about it and got ratioed. She had, of course, posted earlier about what she was going to do, and she got called out with her own post. My favorite: paid your bill in pennies. What went wrong? Please don't pay your bills in pennies, folks, especially.
Hey everyone, how's it going? So about 3 years ago at this point, I made a video on whether I could beat the game with just an Ekans. And at this point, we know everyone's going to be possible. It's just how quick and how easy is it going to be. And with that said, a lot of people thought the next video after that would be coughing, which it obviously wasn't, since this video is coughing 3 years later. Why? Because while, again, knew it would be possible, I didn't think it would be easy or quick. In fact, I thought it would be unbelievably frustrating to beat the game with just a coughing, and guess what? Pretty sure I'm about to be proven right. Now, why is coughing going to be such a terrible Pokemon to use? Well, first things first, its stats are actually fine. For a first form Pokemon, coughing is just one stat point off of 3rd place. It's actually in 7th place because a bunch are tied with 60 average. Coughing has 59, but distribution could be better. A lot in defense, which is really not that important. Most of the strongest Pokemon are special attackers anyway, and you frankly want more speed, which it's bad in, or special or attack, which it's not amazing in, but it's actually not terrible for first form. What is terrible about coughing are its attacks, better known as its move pool, although pool is pretty generous, more like move puddle. I mean, these are all the moves coughing can learn, and it doesn't look like a lot, but it's actually deceptive what you're seeing. Self-destruct and explosion are repeated, so we can just get rid of them from the TM side, but really we should just get rid of them altogether. Why? Because in a solo run where you're only allowed to use one Pokemon in battle, those moves can't really be used. I mean, you just auto-lose. So, they're pointless. With those two moves eliminated, that gives us a grand total of, drum roll please, I can tell you're not really drum rolling, 6 moves. 6 damaging moves that coughing can learn. 2 of which it starts with, the other, Rage. But if you want to include Bide, which technically is a damaging move, but not a direct damaging move, it's 7. Fantastic. But it gets worse. It gets worse! Because the first 2 moves it gets are Tackle, we all know Tackle, 35 base power, 95 accuracy, and Smog. Smog is a mere 20 base power, meaning effectively 30 base power with the same type attack bonus, but that's not important. What is important is it only hits 70% of the time. When it does though, there is a 40% chance of the Pokemon being poisoned. Now, of those 2 moves, which would you say would be better against Brock's ground rock Pokemon? If you said either of them, you'd be wrong. They're both completely useless. So let's go ahead and show some Brock battles. Now, everything about this battle is kind of terrible. I'm only at level 13. My initial strategy was pretty good. Try to poison Geodude, hope it uses Defense Curl. But as you can see, and those of you who've seen Weedle already know this, it's not as easy as that. You see, Brock has 5, yes, 5 full heals for not total each of his Pokemon. So you have to hit with Smog 6 times, which is already kind of difficult, and get it to poison 6 times in order for the poison to stick. It will actually happen eventually, but is it worth it? I certainly thought it was. I would be wrong. I mean, I've leveled up a fair bit. I'm at level 16. And at this point, I'm still going for the Smog strategy. We can go through this really, really fast. The problem with it is if Geodude uses enough defense curls, Smog will actually start missing, but not really missing, it's just doing 0 damage. You see, in Generation 1 only, if a move is double resisted, like Poison is to Geodude, both rock and ground, if defense is high enough, the damage will round down to 0. In future games, this cannot happen. It'll always do at least 1. I believe this is actually an oversight. But the other problem is, even though Poison is very effective at draining health, you just simply don't have enough HP to do anything meaningful to the Onix, and it's a very quick victory for the Onix. Now, when I do more tedious sections of these challenges, Sometimes I like to listen to music, and sometimes I won't even look at the screen and just mash the A button to try and get through text. But this time, it wasn't actually text I was mashing through. As it turns out, I was pressing A and mashing through the battle. But something incredible happened. When I looked at the screen, Geodude's health was half gone, and I still had 40 HP. I got really lucky with defense curls and some crits, but I realized that Smog was not the play. I needed to be using Tackle against Geodude. And then against Onix, that's when you use Smog, because Brock's AI and Bide have a very strange interaction if Smog poisons. It cancels out some of the damage, which it shouldn't, and it makes Bide last longer. I'm not really exactly sure what's going on here. All I know is using Smog while Onix uses Bide is a good idea, and getting the Onix poison during Bide is an even better idea. Unfortunately, while I did do much better against Onix, I still wasn't able to win. I was relatively close. I mean, we got Onix down to about, a quarter of its HP? But we would probably still need to level up a fair bit. Or so you'd think. I decided to battle Brock a second time, and this time through the Geodude, we make it to Onix with a little bit less HP, only 19. But we get really, really, really good Smog luck, and luck with Onix's moves. So we're stuck at just single digit HP for a really, really long time. At this point in the battle, I have 2 HP. Any move, Bide or Tackle, knocks me out. And yet, if we just get a little lucky with another Bide, we would have won. Of course, that's not what happened. We got a Tackle and we lost. So I'm going to level up just a little bit more, gives me a little more HP, gives me a little bit more defense. Unfortunately, that little bit was 20 minutes of real time. And there's just so little you can really do in this fight. Coughing's next move it gets isn't until level 32. That's right. So even if I want to level up to level 21 or something, where a lot of Pokemon get at least some useful move, that's not the case for Coughing. We were stuck with Tackle, and thus we were completely at the mercy of RNG, or luck. At this level with Tackle, we do get by the Geodude every single time. But Onix, it's just a matter of hitting with Smog and getting that 40% chance for Poison. Because if the Poison is there, Bide becomes really bad for Onix. In this generation, it's only 1/16 of its health that Poison takes away. But hey, if Bide lasts 3 turns, that's not bad. And slowly but surely, the health whittles away, and with 13 HP to spare at level 19, Coughing was able to beat Brock. 2 hours, 13 minutes of game time. There are Pokemon that can beat the game, at least at single speed, quicker than that. We even caught a Pidgey, which we usually do after. So, yeah, I don't feel too great about this. Obviously, it was just a matter of brute forcing it. But hey, when you only have 2 moves and you're using a Coughing, it's what you gotta do. So I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit. We're gonna go to Cerulean City, and I decided to battle Rival 2 before Misty. I didn't think Misty would be possible. So Rival 2 leads with Pidgeotto. Tackle is still our best move. I accidentally went for Smog, and that's not good because it gave Pidgeotto plenty of chances to use Sand Attack. It didn't though. It stuck to attacking moves, but that means 18 HP for the final 3 Pokemon. Well, really the final 2. Abra can't do anything to me. Rattata, however, goes for Tail Whip, and then Hyper Fang and gets a crit. So I'm at 1 HP for Bulbasaur. I go for Smog, it goes for Growl. I go for Tackle, it goes for Leech Seed. I go for Tackle again, and shockingly I win. Why'd I go for Smog there? I thought Smog was base 30 power, not base 20, and that it actually did more damage than Tackle. I wouldn't realize that mistake until after Nugget Bridge, when it didn't make sense how little Smog was doing. But shockingly, even though we're super overleveled, we actually got a first try victory versus Rival 2. that doesn't really give us all that much. I mean, it gives us access to more trainers, but there are no TMs and nothing really all that useful that we're gonna get by beating all these trainers. So I'm still not convinced we're actually gonna be able to beat Misty. Misty leads with Star U, which isn't as big a deal. Tackle does just under half, so it's a 3 KO, and it went for Tackle, so we're at 49 HP. But Star Me goes for Water Gun and Bubble Beam, and no, it's not gonna happen. We're not at full HP. I messed up on potions, but I don't think we're a potion away from winning here. I think that we're gonna need to level up. If Misty uses an X defend, you can see we just do nothing, and Bubble Beam pretty much just takes out half of my HP in one hit. We're gonna need to go to the SSN. Now, I know what you might be thinking. If you remember that move list, Coughing can learn Thunderbolt. It's probably one of the best moves Coughing can learn. Unfortunately, there is no way to use that versus Misty. In order to get Lieutenant Surge, who gives you Thunderbolt, we need to use Cut. In order to use Cut outside of battle, we need to beat Misty. So Misty is one of the 3 gym leaders that must be done in intended order. Brock, Misty, Giovanni. All have to be done in intended order. Everyone else can be done in any order you want, with one exception, but that's not super important for right now. What is important is that we're going to have to level up, so might as well go battle Rival 3. Rival 2 wasn't so bad, but Rival 3 is a totally different story. Why? Well, the lead Pokemon Pidgeotto is actually the same thing. It's thankfully missing with Sand Attack, or it missed with Sand Attack, and then used 3 attacking moves. But now we have to deal with Raticate as opposed to Rattata. Actually dealt just about the same amount of damage. The real issue, though, is Kadabra. It has 2 moves, Teleport and Confusion. So 1 in 2 chance it goes for Teleport, and we need to go for Teleport twice, meaning we have a 25% chance of making it past Kadabra. Plus, as you can see, there's always a chance that Pidgeotto decides to go for Sand Attack, and that is pretty bad for us. So, yeah, we're going to have to do this a lot. And by a lot, I mean 4 times total. Actually, Pidgeotto proved to be one of the bigger problems because of Sand Attack. So getting a crit is really clutch. Raticate using Tail Whip is really nice because it boosts my attack just a little bit. Doesn't increase any other stats at this point, but Kadabra cooperated. That was great. And as for Ivysaur, it doesn't really do all that much to me. It can't really do all that much to me. Potion was the most annoying part of this battle, but thankfully I believe we're at a speed tie, and we knock it out with plenty of HP to spare. So it really was just the Kadabra that made a huge difference, but now that we have cut, nothing really changes. Like, at all. We really just have the ability to use Dig and get back to Cerulean, but we're not even that much higher of a level. I don't think this is going to go so well. Alright, so, like before, leads with Staryu, but the X-Defend does make a difference. Missing with Tackle is kind of nice, but we're still at 55 HP. Now we get X-Defend from Starmie, we get Water Gun and Tackle, another Water Gun, another Water Gun, Tackle misses. You know, we were probably just 1 crit or even 1 miss away from winning there, but the luck we got there was pretty absurd. How many turns was that without a Bubble Beam? That's just not likely to happen again. So I can just keep going for Tackle here. And you can see this time I'm at 40 HP for Starmie. And yeah, that's how the battle will probably go most times. So what are we going to do? Well, I battled one of the trainers I skipped, got to level 28, and I'm just going to be frank with you guys. I got extremely lucky. So Staryu goes for Tackle, and then another Tackle, and then X Defense. So we're at 66 HP, which is absurd. We do get Bubble Beam, and then Water Gun, and then Bubble Beam, and then Water Gun, but then an X Defend. 2 Bubble Beams might feel like it wasn't lucky, but Starmie has a very high chance of getting critical hits. The fact that there was not a single critical hit, and both Pokemon using X Defend on the last turn when it didn't matter, was huge. If Starmie uses the next defend turn 1, it's over. You won't do enough damage unless you get a lot of crits, which you're not going to get. I'll take it, though. And in case you're like, J-Rose, can't you get something more consistent? It really wouldn't have mattered, and let me show you why. Assistant to the Busboy Surge is really good against coughing. I mean, it helps when Voltorb uses 2 Sonic Booms, but as you're about to see, it really doesn't matter. Pikachu actually gets really annoying with Growl, but the bigger issue is Raichu. Raichu, Thunderbolt. Well, let me show a different battle. That one wasn't really good to illustrate what I'm about to talk about. So let's just skip ahead a little bit. I make it to Raichu with 44 HP, which is fairly decent, but Thunder Shock followed by Thunderbolt, I'm done. There's no way I'm going to win this. There's no way. So what I do is just battle the trainers in the gym, use my rare candies early. I have 3 of them, but now I'm level 32, and now we have Sludge. And with that, it 1 or 2 shots all of Surge's Pokemon, and even not at full health, it was really easy to beat Raichu. And with that, we'll get Thunderbolt. And this is actually when I stopped playing for the day, because it really did feel like, alright, we're in a new section of the run. We have our Tackle Smog intro section, but now we have Sludge, the strongest poison move in Generation 1, by the way, and Thunderbolt. So with those things, is the rest of the game going to be easy? Sorta. So there is one really big problem we have to tackle. And that is, oh, that crit sucks. But we can just talk over this. I beat this hiker eventually. The problem is rock ground Pokemon still. Thunderbolt, while it is a special attack, doesn't affect ground Pokemon. And while Sludge is way more powerful than Smog, it is double resistant. So while basically the strategy here is just to knock out one of the Geodude and then let the Graveler and the second Geodude use self-destruct, I mean, if I knock out the Graveler, that's fine too, which looks like might happen right here. It's close. But even if I don't, I'll just have to keep doing this until it works. Unfortunately, I ran out of power points and, very close. But it doesn't matter. Point is, this is going to be a problem, not right now necessarily, but Giovanni has 2 rock ground Pokemon. That can be really tough. And Sludge is the last useful move Coughing will learn until we defeat Blaine and get Fire Blast, which is not going to be happening that soon. But we're going to fast forward and try and defeat Erica. But instantly there's a problem. Even though we're 5 levels higher, Victreebel outspeeds, and in Generation 1, Wrap, well, it can miss a fair bit, but once it hits, if I'm slower, I cannot attack. So thankfully we get 2 misses, and we can one-shot Tangela, but, there we go, we got put to sleep, Mega Drain. Oh, we wake up, maybe we'll win? Nope, put back to sleep. And, yeah, we lost to Erica. Fundamentally, the problem there was speed. I'm just going to keep talking as I show a second battle. If we were faster than Victreebel, this battle would be a joke. There's very little that Victreebel or even Vileplume could really do to me. But since we're too slow, that gives Victreebel an opportunity to use Wrap. Victreebel, however, is the least of my concerns. Later in the game, there are going to be Psychic Pokemon using Psychic moves, and those will likely one-shot me. So, while I can get lucky and defeat Erica by getting some misses and some good move selections, that will not be the case against Sabrina. And so, the idea that this run got easy is not one you should believe. This run is anything but easy. And unfortunately, we don't really have anything else to do but to go to the Rocket Game Corner and try to defeat Giovanni. Alright, so we already kind of talked about what the problem is going to be here, and you can see just how little Sludge does. Also, Onyx knows Bind, so it's pretty annoying. Eventually it goes for Rage, but this is actually a lot more of a problem than it usually would be. Because we have to attack so darn much, Rage just gets great opportunity to build up, and even though it's not doing too much, the fact that Giovanni gets to attack so often basically leads to a situation where Onyx can almost knock us out by itself. And then Rhyhorn easily can pick up the pieces. So, yeah, that's not good. So, what is the ingenious strategy I use to win? Nothing. I just get lucky. I mean, a poison early is really good. The chip damage really does help. Getting rage late actually helps, and I did heal and level up once by battling some trainers. Trainers I usually skip in the Rocket Hideout. We also get a first turn poison on the Rhyhorn. We also want to see Guard Spec, that's pretty good. And because of all these things, we make it to Kangaskhan with 40 HP. Bite nearly does half my remaining HP, and thankfully Comet Punch misses. So it was a matter of brute forcing it and just hoping for luck. And that's what happens when you have a shallow move pool like that. I really don't have a better option. I could just level up more if I really wanted to, but I felt like this would be possible. Usually I'll give it about 5 minutes or so. It took about 6. So I'm not too far off my way too lucky meter. And that means I can move on to the Pokemon Tower. And in Pokemon Tower, we have a much easier battle in Rival 4. This is the final rival battle where he's still using a Kadabra. We don't outspeed Pidgeotto, but Thunderbolt one-shots. I don't think we don't outspeed Gyarados, Thunderbolt one-shots. We do outspeed Growlithe, Sludge one-shots. We don't outspeed Kadabra, but it just has Confusion, Sludge one-shots. We don't one-shot Ivysaur, but yeah, Rival 4 is going to be easy, but I think you can see how Rival 5 is going to be unbelievably tough. And Rival 5 is actually coming up sooner than you think. After we get through the Pokemon Tower, we really only have either him or Koga next in our list of mandatory trainers. So, who are we going to battle? I'm going to try Koga first, but Koga might not even be the biggest problem. I mean, these channelers were annoying, but we're going to skip ahead. We won. Eventually. In Koga's gym, there are 2 mandatory trainers. They only have Psychic Pokemon. And this gives us a great preview for Sabrina. We're able to knock out the Drowsy for the second trainer, but look at this. After a couple headbutts, 1 Confusion critical hit. That's all it took. Psychic, that means, would probably knock me out as well. And this trainer I battled a bunch of times. Not this first trainer who I'm battling again, I forgot to save. The second trainer with the Hypno, I was not able to defeat him. I decided to try Rival 5. I know it's dumb. We're only 3 levels higher than Pidgeot. We do knock it out fairly quickly. Gyarados misses with Hydro Pump, which is good. Growlithe, it outspeeds. We don't one-shot. Not great. But here's the moment of truth. Psybeam actually doesn't knock us out, and we are able to knock out the Alakazam, but then Venusaur instantly just destroys us with Razor Leaf. So, what are we going to do? Honestly, look at the luck we got there with Gyarados missing. I am really at a crossroads here. And the answer is going to be simple. After failing to beat Rival 5 a few more times, it's time to level up. The trainers in Sylph Company are very easy to defeat. The poison Pokemon can be handled by Thunderbolt. The non-poison Pokemon can be handled with Sludge. Coughing stats are good enough, and it's over-leveled enough that it's usually a 1, at most a 2 KO on most of these Pokemon. And there's a place to heal. So we can defeat pretty much every trainer we want to, until at least one of the battles becomes consistent. Probably you'll be unsurprised to learn that the battle that was easier was the Juggler. Now Sludge is a 2 KO as opposed to a 3 KO, and that makes a massive difference. We do have to heal. I've run out of potions, so that's going to waste a little bit of time. But we can battle Koga now. Koga really shouldn't be too much of a problem, because he just uses poison Pokemon. And that means his best moves will be resisted by Coughing. Just a matter of self-destruct, not knocking me out. So we get Coughing number 1. Smokescreen really sucks because, yep, now we start missing. 3 misses in a row. Alright, we knock it out with Thunderbolt. We miss against Muck. It disables Sludge. Paralyzed is good and it doesn't attack. That's nice. Coughing number 2 takes 2 hits to knock out. And then self-destruct. I think if it didn't get a critical hit, we would have won. So, even with really awful luck, we almost won. Let's just try that one more time. Please don't go for smokescreen. Okay, X attack's great. We knock out coughing number 1. Muck, poison gas is good. X attack is good. We knock it out. Thunderbolt, X attack. All right, full HP for wheezing. Self-destruct. All right, that is called a Generation 1 miss. It would not have knocked us out, by the way. We're pretty bulky defensively. But yeah, I'll take the 1 in 256 miss. It didn't fundamentally alter the battle, and it's pretty hilarious. So we've beaten Koga, but that doesn't really unlock as much as we'd hope. I mean, we do have Surf, and Surf is why you can't complete the gym leaders in any order you'd like. We talked about Brock, Misty, and Giovanni being stuck in 1st, 2nd, and 8th, but Koga must always precede Blaine, because without Koga, you can't use Surf. We don't have a surfing Pokemon. Usually we use Lapras for that, and in order to get the Lapras, we need to beat Rival 5-0. Now, I can get the fishing rod. I can catch another surfing Pokemon if I really, really want to. But I want to try beating Rival 5-0, seeing if it's possible. Because if I can't, frankly, I don't think Rival 6 and the Elite 4 are going to do me any favors. This is a mistake I often make where I don't battle trainers who are unbattleable. And in Silph Company, once you defeat Giovanni, they all disappear. So if I need to battle the rest of them, I might as well do it now. Alright, so now we're at level 45. And we don't knock out Pidgeot. That's annoying. We're knocking out Gyarados. And we only have marginally more health than in one of the previous battles you've seen. So the result is going to be the same. Psybeam knocks us out. We're going to need to outspeed something. I have 4 rare candies, and I'm going to use them just to see what would happen if we're at level 49, if it makes a huge difference. If it doesn't... Oh, we do outspeed with the Sand Attack, but it's not making that big a difference, and thus, the only solution that makes any degree of sense to me is to just level up a bunch, because we might need to level up and then use rare candies anyway, so let's go do that. Okay, so I've beaten, I think, every single trainer in Silph Company. I'm at level 48. We don't outspeed Pidgeot, but it is a one-shot. That's nice. Gyarados misses with Leer. That's really nice. We one-shot Growlithe. Confusion as opposed to Psybeam is great. We level up here. And now Venusaur goes for Leech Seed, Vine Whip, and Vine Whip. If it went for Razor Leaf, that would have been really bad. Razor Leaf should crit every single time. So we got pretty lucky there. I'll take it. Saving rare candies is pretty nice. But funny enough, I don't know if this victory means we will defeat Giovanni. I'm thinking we might have to go to Blaine first, because if we defeat Blaine, we'll get Fire Blast, because I think we need Fire Blast to defeat Giovanni, but let's check. So he leads with Nidorino. Nidorino isn't the problem. 2 Thunderbolts knock it out at our current level. Kangaskhan is also not a problem. We could use Sludge, we could use Thunderbolt, we knock it out. Rhyhorn is a bit of a problem. We've seen Rhyhorn be a problem before, but funny enough, it's not as big a problem as what's about to come out next, because Rhyhorn at least can be poisoned, and that will slowly knock it out. What is a problem is Nidoqueen. It's poison type, meaning it double resists Sludge, it knows Tail Whip, and so even though its best move is Body Slam, Scratch still does a ton of damage. We actually came really close to knocking it out, but spoiler alert, I do this like 10 more times without getting anywhere near that close, and thus I did what I feared I had to do. Leave Silph Company and go battle Blaine. But just before I do that, I'm going to battle all the trainers in his gym. Like with Silph Company, once you defeat the gym leader, these trainers will be inaccessible, and as you can see, they are fairly trivial to defeat. So a good fast way to get experience points. Sabrina is the next gym leader we have to face after this. So yeah, I think we're going to need to level up a lot. Might as well do it here. Blaine leads with Growlithe. Growlithe can only use Agility or a Super Potion, so not an issue. Ponyta gets the retroactive Super Potion, misses with Fire Spin. So we're at full health for Rapidash. Unfortunately, it does hit with Fire Spin, and then gets a flinch with Stomp later on, so I'm at 71 HP for Arcanine. And we come really, really close to knocking it out. Unfortunately, Fire Blast, while it will help me, it also helps Blaine and knocks out Coughing. So this might take a few attempts. Well, just 2 attempts later, We beat Growlithe pretty easily. Like I said, it can only use agility, so nothing really to worry about there. Ponyta goes for Growl, which is annoying, but we can go for Haze, and that actually gets rid of the negative effects of Growl. Unfortunately, before I'm able to knock it out, it actually goes for Growl again, but after Rapidash uses Growl, I go for Haze, and then it goes for Tail Whip, which is kind of nice. So that restores the badge boost that Haze gets rid of. Don't worry about it too much. Long and the short of it is, Arcanine doesn't go for Fire Blast, and we're able to knock it out. I wasn't terribly worried about defeating Blaine, but now that we've defeated him, we get Fire Blast, and finally, Ground Rock Pokemon are no longer going to be nearly as irritating as they have been for 90% of, well, the entire run to this point, but like 90% of the total run. I wish we had access to a different move earlier that could have made this a lot easier, but alas, we finally do have one, and let's see what Giovanni looks like now. As always, Nidorino is not going to be any kind of a problem. 2 hits are all it takes. Now, I'm going to use Sludge against Kangaskhan, gets a 4-turn Comet Punch, uses Rage, so we're at 102 HP for Rhyhorn. Fire Blast does miss. It is an 85% accurate move, but that's not terrible. Thankfully, we are able to hit, but it doesn't one-shot, which is unfortunate. I actually misclick and I go for it again, but hey, we do knock it out. I have used a PP up, but we hit Nidoqueen. Just one more hit to knock it out. We miss, but thanks to the PP up, we had exactly enough power points in order to do it. I'm actually going to grab another PP up because 7 is better than 6, and I'll do some vitamin buying. But that is it for Giovanni. Now all that's left is Giovanni, but before that, Sabrina. Alright, so she leads off with Kadabra. We are quite a few levels higher, but unsurprisingly, it does outspeed. Goes for Psychic. We only have 50 HP left. Sludge does one-shot, so that's good. Sludge also one-shots Mr. Mime. Unfortunately, Venomoth, we don't outspeed. It goes for Psybeam. We survive on just 5 HP, use Fire Blast, and it survives on what looks like around 5 HP. We get the burn. Sabrina heals, but unfortunately, we're not able to knock out Venomoth even with Sludge. It actually does a little less, it seems. And so we need to try again. And I can tell that I probably need to outspeed Venomoth. So I'm going to go and battle. We actually don't even outspeed a level 31 Kadabra. That's not a good sign. But I'm going to try and battle all the remaining trainers in this gym. Again, a huge part of the evolution of my strategies in these runs is prioritizing trainers you cannot re-battle if you do a certain thing, in this case, beat the gym leader. And just in case you're curious, there are 3 instances of this. SSN, since the ship, unless you glitch, doesn't come back. In Sylph Company, the trainers disappear, but not the Rocket Hideout. Even after you defeated Giovanni in Sylph Company and his gym, they're still there. And finally, we have the gyms. And before someone says, but the Pokemon Tower, well, that would count, except for the fact you actually have to battle all the mandatory trainers that disappear. So how can it really count, since there's no way for them to disappear without you having already beaten them? Anywho, let's go battle Sabrina again. Alright, hopefully it doesn't use Psychic. It doesn't have to. It does go for Psychic. We knock it out. Mr. Mime goes for Confusion. It didn't have to do that. We knock it out. And then Psybeam. Okay. This is really not going to work. I have one idea to not use rare candies. I'm going to try one more time. Psychic. Light Screen is good. Okay, this might work out. Leech Life, Fire Blast, Crit. Alright, now just cooperate. No. So we could have used Psywave or Recover, which is kind of what I'm hoping for. But alright, let's make the battle a little bit more consistent. We're going to use Mimic. We don't need Tackle by any means. And there is a move we could theoretically mimic that might make this a lot easier. So Psychic, Sludge, we knock it out. Now we're going to mimic Barrier. The badge boost glitch is in all the descriptions of my solo run videos, but essentially we're going to increase defense to increase speed. So we use all 3 barriers. Mr. Mime does use Confusion, but you can see our special is also going up. It is a 2-hit KO because it used Barrier a bunch of times, but we knock it out no problem. Now we outspeed and one-shot Venomoth, but unfortunately even with 3 barriers, and you can see the pause there, that is, well, you can't see the face, but I promise you, there was a face of disappointment there. We don't outspeed Alakazam, meaning even with Mimic, I was worried about this, we're gonna need Alakazam to cooperate. Now, Kadabra does get a special drop. Unfortunately, I forgot to teach Mimic, but that actually does mean we're going to outspeed Venomoth. I accidentally misclick. And there we get Psywave, and shockingly, the battle where I forgot to teach Mimic, we actually end up winning. I'm going to admit I was barely looking at the screen when this battle happened because I planned on just resetting, teaching Mimic, and going for barrier strats again. I was thinking maybe if I get a special drop from Psychic plus the 3 badge boosts from barrier, maybe then I'd outspeed Alakazam. Funny enough, that's also why I decided to level up in the gym as opposed to just using rare candies, because I didn't want to level up in the middle of the battle. It's good to be back in Generation 1. Alright, so Giovanni would be a really big problem, but with both Fire Blast and Mimic, he won't be at all. Much, much easier than the previous 2 battles, which kind of rare to say. I guess the first one's usually the most problematic, just because in really tough runs you don't have good moves yet. But typically the third one isn't the easiest, it's the second battle, but not this time. Giovanni leads with Rhyhorn, and we're going to go for Fire Blast. It doesn't one-shot, but Guard Spec is great. We knock it out with Fire Blast. Now Guard Spec, we can use Mimic and Mimic Dig, and this is perfect. Dugtrio digs, Coughing digs, and that means Dugtrio's going to miss. We're still under...
Hmm.